doing on YouTube? Welcome to another video. You're joining me here for a leg day. We're doing some SSB as per usual, and we're gonna put some stress on these legs. So I've been trying to catch up on videos. I'm realizing now I'm almost 2.5 months behind on stuff. So gonna really crank out the stuff in the next few days just to kind of get caught up. Been a lot of changes happening, career-wise, and then also in the personal life too. So I'm actually joining a new gym. I'm going to maintain a membership at this gym as well too, but I just wanted to kind of put that out there. Basically, you'll see some gym changes in the future. Right now I'm doing this audio voice recorder in June. It's June 2nd. So I'm going to try to pump out as many videos as I can and get ahead. But basically you'll start seeing a new gym location there too and stuff like that. So just kind of excited for that. There's a lot more content I can film, more machines, less just straight barbell stuff, which can be a little interesting, kind of get a different perspective, different people, you know what I mean, just like a different vibe. The problem with gyms, a lot of times the vibe is completely controlled by the person who runs it. So if they're not down to try different things or open to the members and their recommendations, it can be a little frustrating. And I've seen a lot of people leave gyms when they're unhappy with management or just the way the gym's going. Sometimes they'll buy pieces of equipment that nobody really uses. It just seems like a bad investment, and they really don't understand the needs of their clientele, which is a little frustrating. But I'm pretty easygoing, and I can train anywhere. I don't mind, having to morph, if I can, a gym to my own liking, like buying my own bars, purchasing those kilos. I kind of went in with other people, but the plan was to give us what we needed to do what we needed to do. And nowadays there's a lot of gyms that are offering that, so I really don't see an excuse to not do that. So that's basically why I've decided to kind of look around, find some other alternatives. And really the gym vibe is also controlled by the clients too, though. If you don't keep your clients happy, if you really don't meet kind of like what their expectations are with the gym, then they're just gonna move on and go somewhere else. And people like to talk about the free market and all this stuff, and people are gonna decide where they want to be. You could factor in location, vibe, equipment, stuff like that. I've just seen so many people leave from gyms, this one especially, so it's a little frustrating. And I still follow them, they're still my friends, and they're just having a good time and a blast at other gyms that are willing to reinvest and kind of do all that stuff. So it's sad to say, though, but you got to constantly adapt. When you own a business, a brand, or anything, you have to currently understand the markets and then also forecast and see the future. Obviously you can get the same people over and over again, though, but people change in different aspects of life. They've got kids, they get married, they move. And there'll always be another business that can fulfill that need. And if you know me, my end goal is to eventually have my own gym, an ever-evolving gym that's going to be changing based off equipment, get the latest and greatest so that everybody can benefit from it. So, I want to be around places that are going to also, display those type of attributes, learn how they do things. Like the gym I'm joining, super excited for. They're constantly growing and expanding, and constantly bringing in new equipment and stuff like that. It's really nice and cool when the owner of the facility that you're using is into this stuff as much as we are. You get access to so much stuff that not only makes your workout easier, but there's just so much variety. When you start investing in equipment, if you leave everything the way it is and you don't reinvest, people get bored. They're going to find different things at other gyms. And there's just, it's something so easy to address. You can talk to your gym members, talk to your trainers or whoever's there, but, in this day and age, there's no excuse to, not have that information, not understand all that stuff. So for me, I'm really looking to kind of, to invest in places, make those connections with people that have a similar hobby, that have a similar outlook on the way you do things. And you can carry that over into relationships, your job. Are you guys on a similar path, the same vision, the same type of work-life balance? You know what I mean? Because everything that we do, it's got to work around your schedule. I like lifting. I'm a pretty consistent person. I'm pretty much in the gym between the same hours, 5 times a week. And, I want to be somewhere that I enjoy. If I start getting those feelings of, man, I wish I'd be somewhere else, dreading going to the gym. It's not healthy. And I think that's the problem with a lot of people in the gym is they'll go to a gym that's easy to go to, cheap, commercial gyms. But the lower quality gyms are the ones that put those ideas in your head that you don't want to be there, and that slowly, leads to you not wanting to be anywhere near that. And if you've got fitness goals, it's going to interfere with it. So, like I said, I'm a pretty lax, easygoing person. You don't have to do much to make me happy. I can handle my own happiness, but when you start noticing the sentiment of all the other people around you and starting to see people leave, it's just really frustrating. So, this isn't this is more of like a ranting video at this point, but I just figure, the training is training and it's going to happen, but sometimes it's good to talk about stuff and to kind of open that dialogue. I know a lot of people, like gym is life, which I find kind of cringe, but basically, somewhere you spend 10 to 20 hours a week is a significant place, especially if you're paying for it. And there's almost, there's a limited amount of stuff you can do in an enclosed space. So I'm just kind of putting that out there that there's people out there that will take things seriously. Those will be your best members who will give you advice and kind of what they're seeing. It's almost like getting a survey each and every time from every member who's paying how you can improve things and make things better. And a lot of people don't like to listen to it because they have their own vision. But here's the thing. Visions change all the time. We are not the end-all be-all of everything. You're going to learn things you didn't know. You're going to pick up little things here and there that are going to, change those perspectives. So you have to be reactive and realistic in all the things that you're doing. And it echoes through training too. If you want to get strong, you're going to have to build up. I'm basically showing you this right now in this video. I had to start from square zero basically and work my way up, and I'm still doing it. And you guys are all going to see it here. I've already done all this work. If I was somebody who felt entitled, I'd be like, oh, I've done it. I don't need to do it again. No, I enjoy this stuff. I'm trying to get back to where I am. That's the whole challenge and the whole thing here. And it's no different than running a business or anything else like that. You have to understand the market you're in, the product you're providing, the services you provide, and you need to be able to relate. And I just think a lot of businesses miss that, and then a lot of businesses that do understand that, they may start off small, not with a lot of capital or anything like that, and they grow to be these behemoths because they stick to that philosophy, stick to that love of what they're doing. And there's a lot of gyms in my area that are various distances that I would go to that exemplify that almost all the time. And, some of them could use some help in certain departments, but for the most part, they've got a lot of those attributes that I like. And for me, like I said, I just want to go in and do what I want to do. The more tools you have, the easier that is to do. And it just requires less tear down and take up time. I make friends with every gym that I'm at. You can really get to know certain people, figure out people's life goals and stuff like that when you're all on, doing something like this. And it doesn't have to be like in the gym. It could be like a sport or whatever you play. But basically, any hobby you do, you're going to meet people that are in that same hobby that have similar, loves and stuff for that. So it's just nice to be around it. But it's funny, though. Sometimes you'll be in a space, whether it's work or the gym, where you'll be surrounded by people you see all the time and you've got no connection with them because there's no common ground or whatever. And, in this day and age where we're more fragmented than ever, everything's online, people just don't really interact. It's kind of like a lost skill to have. And honestly, as human beings, we're pretty social, so you'll start to feel that. You'll start to see people socially regress and fall back into things that are not good for them. So everything requires a balance. And the only way to get that balance is through experience and putting yourself in situations and stuff like that. So all this to say really that as I'm rebuilding back up, I'm just reevaluating my own needs. And I feel like I'm moving into a different chapter. It's not always going to be about the heavy training and stuff like that, but just somewhere where there's the opportunity to grow, to do things, to meet new people, and just experience, what else there is to experience. It's no different than like traveling to a different country to kind of see what the culture and stuff is like, to see if maybe that meshes better with you. And I think, after this injury, it tells you that, time, however you spend time is up to you though. And it can be super beneficial or a waste of time if you don't take advantage of things. And that's what I'm finding now though, is just, I'm longing kind of for that change. I'll always keep lifting. I mean, I could lift in a freaking dungeon in solitary confinement if I wanted to, but I like being around other people and the motivation there. I'm always self-motivated. Some days I like it when the gym's empty so I can just do all the stuff that I want to do. But there is a social aspect, and if you've got other stuff going on in your life, other hobbies, like this is just one aspect. So it really just depends on what your goals are. You can always build a home gym and do all this other stuff, but I like the energy of other people. I like being around other people. And I think a lot of other individuals are the same way. So when you build those spots where lots of people can, get together and kind of share all those together, it's a beautiful thing, honestly. And it keeps businesses going. That's what separates somebody who just provides a service to you than, somewhere where you get a bigger turn on investment than you'd think. So, I don't know, just rambling at this point, but you have a lot of time to think when you're lifting. You're focusing on getting better yourself and improving things, but you've got those down times and those rest periods where, you can really think about things. But also, if you're in a space for so long, you really start to notice trends and things that are happening. And everything's dynamic and changing. So you really just have to, figure out, where you want to be, the things you want to do, and just do that. And that's what I've been doing in the later half of my 20s into my 30s now, though. Like, that's been the thing, is just kind of following all the different hobbies I enjoy because I want to and because I can. It took some time to get the means, but here we are. So that's essentially what the whole point of this channel is. We're trying to build something where we can turn that into a gym. We can share that all together. But anyway, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. See you in the next one. Thanks for watching the latest video. If you want to help support the channel, I actually own my own wet shaving and grooming e-commerce website where everything's handmade by me. It's www.apexsoaps.com, and you can get a 10% off code using wet shaver. We've got some cool scents here. We've got some Coca-Cola scents, a horchata scent, traditional barbershop, just some really cool stuff. And you can purchase samples or you can buy the whole set. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out via email. Be quick to respond. Thanks for watching.